Hey, welcome everybody. Good to see you. Mark, good to have you. Chris, good to have you. Craig, good to see you here. Denise, good to see you here. Grant, good to see you here. John Warburton, who is Big Line Media, good to see you here, John. We've got a few people jumping on here. I'm hoping that we are going live on, we are going live. All right, that's very cool. All right, so today, or yesterday and the day before, this is our third day here in this process. Day before, we kind of talked about the structure of maximizing your opportunity to actually scale, build this business, some of the fundamentals of things that you got to go out and do, and also encourage you to go and do two key strategies. Yesterday, I talked about crafting compelling offers. I talked about you going out to the marketplace, shared different structures, frameworks on how to craft or actually discover and create great offers. Also showed you where you can find some great offers that you can actually replicate and apply. Walked through a whole bunch of strategies yesterday on the training that we did. And today, I want to talk about niche or niches, because it's something, it's probably the most common conversation that I have with a lot of people is, what is the niche that you want to go after? I'm just looking at my view here to make sure I've got that sitting correctly. All right, so most people are sitting here saying, I need to pick a niche, right? Like lots of people say, I need to go and pick a niche because all the gurus and all the people are sitting there and say, well, if you want to grow and scale your marketing business or your digital marketing business, that you should all go and pick a niche. So I'm going to speak to this concept because there are elements of truth in what they're saying. There's nothing wrong with being a full service agency serving multiple markets. There is absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. The challenge with doing that is that you're actually customizing your solution, what you're doing for every single separate market, right? So when you're customizing, that means that there is an expense, there's more time involved, effort, energy to get things right and working for your respective customer. Now, a couple of things happens from this. You'll get a lot of experience working with different types of clients, which is fantastic. But where you come unstuck is most times you have not charged enough, allocated enough time, and more importantly, you start to you'll start to come up with challenges and problems because you're having to adjust a strategy to suit a general customer, right? So what you're trying to do is you're going to try and take your idea, and you then have to, create a situation where you're managing the process for that specific type of business or that specific type of client. Then you go and get another client, you can't replicate the same results because you now have to actually craft a custom strategy for that client and then go through the process of learning to improve to get the results in that process. Then you get another client, and again, you've got to go through that process. So if you are working with any type of business, if you say, hey, I just work with small businesses, and I hear a lot of people say that, hey, John, I just want to help small businesses. My first response to that is, well, who? Right? When you say small business, what do you mean by small business? Because the interpretation of small business means different things to different people. So let me give an example of what a small business is. A $20 million business a year, revenue a year, $20 to $50 million is recognized in most commercial environments as a small business. $20 to $50 million, small business. Now, most people thinking small business, mom and pop shop, brick and mortar, local business, maybe 2 or 3 employees, maybe $300,000 or $400,000 or more in revenue, right? That's what most people see as a small business, right? The challenge with working with small businesses as a niche is that they don't have the funds, they cannot afford to test and explore ideas. When they invest money in marketing and advertising and promotion, they need a payback. They can't make mistakes because it's too expensive. So they can't stick. They don't have budgets. They don't have enough revenue to be able to do that. And most businesses should be investing about 10% of their revenue in marketing, 10%. So $1 million business should be investing up to $100,000 in their marketing, right? A $5 million business should be investing up to $500,000 of revenue towards acquiring and building clients in the marketplace. Now, if you've got a business that's $300,000 or $400,000, it's very difficult for them, considering they've got salaries and costs and all those sorts of things. It's very difficult for them to commit to $30,000, right? It's a lot of money, $3,000 a month or $2,700 a month. It's a lot of money for a small business. And so their expectations on what they want in return is significantly higher. So when I hear people say, I work with small businesses, I say, unless you've got a really cheap price point and you can actually make a margin on that, then great, have at it. You'll do really well. You've got to have a low price point. Like small businesses under $500,000 worth of revenue, you have to have a very low priced offer. And that means to make any money out of the small business market is you have to work with a lot of clients. You have to manage a lot of clients. And if you have to manage a lot of clients, then your costs of management are going to go up, right? Because to make any decent money for yourself, if you want to make 100 grand for yourself, then you're going to need 200 clients paying you $1,000 a month, right? You know, so that's a lot of clients to be managing, to be building a significant business, right? To get into those multiple seven figures, right? If you want to make $100,000 for yourself, right? You're going to have to find, right, at least 15 clients paying you $1,000 a month, right? And manage those 15 clients. Your costs are going to be about $5,000. Your taxes are going to be another $2,000 or $3,000 on top of that. And then you're going to end up making about $7,000, $8,000 a month working 15 clients. So you have to actually charge, you have to actually work in volume. And if you have to work in volume, it means you got costs, you got salaries. That means your profit margins are going to be squeezed. And the majority of people in this game, and I'm not saying that this is you, those who are listening to me and those who are on the Facebook pages here on this live who are listening to me, most people I find aren't charging enough. And if you're not charging enough, if you're dealing with small clients with low budget revenues, you're going to go bust real fast. You're going to go out the window. You're going to be out of this business within 2 to 3 months because you'll figure out very quickly that you're going bankrupt because you're not charging enough what you do. So what's this got to do with niching, right? Because today it's all about the niche. I'm going to walk you through some of the things you need to be taking consideration. And then I'll also be talking about some of the niches that you would want to keep an eye out for because they're the ones that are growing, right? So let's talk about opportunity first, right? Right now, the online space, our world in the marketing space, it has multiple disciplines, right? Copywriting, email, automation specialists, campaign managers, ad management people, Facebook, AdWords, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, right? We've got all these skills, web developers, app developers, SEO people, people who create content, videographers, designers, all this, like there's so many skills that are involved in what goes on into being able to present your services online, tons of skills, right? And so this is a good thing, right? If you've got a skill and you know how to do this skill really well and you know that people need help, then you can make that offer and you can generate clients and you can build yourself a significant business. Right? You can get yourself, and from a freelancer point of view, you can earn a decent income being a freelancer, only working with a handful of clients, right? You can do well. So that's based on your skill set, right? On your understanding. And so that's really important. If you're going to go to the market, you're going to pick a niche, and let's say you're going to be a Facebook advertiser for a particular niche, then unless you're a really good Facebook advertiser and you know that niche and you've tested the ads and you know the different offers that convert and work in that market and you've done your homework and you can demonstrate to your prospective market that you can deliver the result, then that's fantastic. But if you are unable to do that for the niche, right, that you're choosing or for the markets that you're trying to work with, if you are unfamiliar and you're unable to do that, then you're stuck before you even start. And I see a lot of people who get stuck for months and months and months trying to figure this out, right? So I'm going to try and give you some insight into perhaps selecting niches a little bit more easily, and more importantly, talk about niches that need the help of all of those genres or all of those skills that I mentioned just a moment ago, because at the end of the day, your skills are highly prized. And if you've got Facebook ad skills, like if you know your stuff and you know how to get results and you know how to read the data and you know how to scale a campaign, then you have a license to charge a lot of money for your skills, right? I pay ad people, Facebook ad people, tens of thousands of dollars in management fees just for their skill in understanding what they've got to do to scale an effective campaign in the marketplace, right? So, or I'm going to hire somebody who knows somebody who's got those skills, right? So if you have those skills, then you're in the sweet spot to help businesses that you know you have skills or you know you have experience in to actually get results in the market, right? So number one, you need to think on the results part, the delivery piece, right? Are you able to deliver a promise, a result, right, for the client, right? Are you able to deliver for the client? That's a question you have to answer for you and you alone. If you can't confidently say right now that I can deliver a result, then you need to hire somebody else who can deliver the result. So you don't have to deliver the result, but you have to work with somebody who can deliver that result for the client. Because if you can't confidently go to the market and say, this is what I do, this is who I help, and this is how I get you the result, if you don't have the confidence, then you're going to be struggling to build this business, right? There's no real choice in the way that you build this business. So I always start with what I know, right? So if I've got some ideas, I've got some skills, then when I say what I know, what I'm familiar with, we all come to this business, or we all start this business at different levels, but we come to this business with some level of knowledge and idea of other experiences we've had along the way, right? I've been fortunate enough to do this for 33 years in 140 different niche markets at different levels with different business models. And I've had some that have blown up and done really well. I've had some that have been okay. I've had some that I had to let go. And there's some that I've abysmally failed and crashed, right? That's my experience, right? So I can draw on my experience to be able to get great results in markets because I have experience in those marketplaces. So the first thing is if you've got familiarity, if you know a market, or let's say you've worked in a particular industry, use that insight to be able to go and solve the problems for those markets first. It's one of the easiest things you can do. People forget their skills. People forget their experience of where they come from. They don't value that. And let me tell you, you have an insight. If you've worked in different types of businesses, you have an insight into how those businesses work, right? So that also tells you, or tells me, that having that insight and understanding also makes it easier for you to see where the problems are and how you can solve those problems. This happens very successfully for a lot of people when they're picking their niches. They tend to go for the niches they already have some familiarity or some experience with. Without that familiarity, that experience, it means you have to learn from scratch, right? You have to learn or market. You have to go back to that idea of customizing a solution. And you want to be able to do this very, very quickly. You want to be able to provide a solution and go get clients very fast in any niche that you choose. So from a time frame reference point of view, if you've been targeting a particular market and you haven't got any traction in at least 90 days, or you haven't been able to generate at least $10,000 a month in recurring revenue in the chosen market that you've gone after, right? There's a couple of questions that you have to ask yourself. One, are you selling what the market wants? Because if you can't convince somebody or help somebody within a 90-day period, if you're actually working in that market and know that niche and have been spending time having conversations in that niche, if you haven't been able to generate 10K a month in a 3-month period, there is something missing in your process. Very, very quickly, you've got to make a choice. You're either going to let this niche go, right, or go and do something else. Pick another niche or go and do something else. You've got to get traction. I want to get traction in 48 hours. 72 hours. I want to get my first client in less than a week. That's the goal, right? Right now, we're in the middle of this period leading up into January. This is an opportune moment in our market. Lots of people making decisions, lots of people thinking about what they're doing for 2021. Right now is the best time to be bringing on clients, right? But you need to be making an offer to be able to do that. And yesterday we talked about offers. Day before we talked about those engagements and those pieces to go to the market. So niching, or we hear a lot about niching. I'm going to walk you through what I believe you need to do to pick a niche. I will, at the end of this presentation or this conversation I'm having with you, I'm going to be opening up to questions here to answer. If you're struggling with a particular niche or you're struggling with this idea, I want to be able to help you to get some clarity. But at the end of the day, and by the way, in terms of picking a niche, Yes. Does it take a little bit of homework? Absolutely. Will it take a little bit of time? Yes, it can. You can speed things up, and I'm going to suggest some things that you can do to speed things up. But at the end of the day, being able to pick a market to serve, right, is a way that you can scale and build a real asset, a real business. A business that makes a difference, a business that can make an impact, and more importantly, one that you can build systems and processes and build a team around, so you're actually building a scalable asset, a real business, not a job, right? A real business. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about is from a niche point of view, or going after the niche point of view, is at the end of the day, the key part of this process is understanding why niching is so important, right? Niching is important because you can easily productize your service. Once you have a system, a process that actually works for a client, you can just replicate and sell the same thing over and over and over again. That's why niching works, right? It's easy to develop systems that are market relevant. So it's easy to develop processes and systems that are relevant to a particular audience. So it's from a definition point of view and a structural point of view and a process point of view, much easier if you're dealing with a niche, as opposed to having to build systems for every different type of genre that you're working with, right? It's easy also to define the problems of a niche. Once you understand, if you've picked a market you want to deliver your service to, or your experience or your skills to, it's really easy to define the problems. It's really easy to find what the issues are, and it's very easy to define and actually build a solution to solve those problems. So this is where niching gives you that perspective of getting things done faster, because you can actually drill in and see very quickly, right? Easy to find. With a niche, once you've established a niche, it's very easy to find where these businesses are. There's lots of places where you can engage and work with, and where they hang out. I'm going to walk through some different questions you need to be asking yourself in picking the niche, right? And the other thing is, if they're easy to find, they're really easy to engage and connect with, right? At leverage, at scale. Once we know, if we've got a niche and we know where to find them, it is super easy to connect, to engage, and to leverage that communication, so that you're building into the niche, right? So why niching is important? Those are 5 key areas, or 5 things that support why niching is very important, right? Another thing, there's 3 things that you need in a perfect niche. There are 3 things, right? Number 1 is you're going to like working with these people. If you don't like working with these people, then it's not going to work for you. So you got to like the market that you pick. You have to like the people, you have to like the business, you have to like the model of the business, or you have to really like the marketing that you do to deliver the result for the client. You have to like your solution, the way you deliver, the fact that you're focused on getting results, right? You have to like this. If you don't like them, if you don't like this thing, it ain't going to work. I see a lot of people getting into this game, and they pick niches because they think that's the niche everybody else is picking. That's one reason. Or they pick niches because they think that niche has money, right? And they know nothing about the niche, right? They don't think through the process of how they're going to engage that market, because they're thinking, oh, if these people have got money, then they must be able to afford me. So that's the market I want to pick. I want to pick people, or the market with that makes or generates lots of money, perceived money, right? So that's one of the things that people do, right? So the second thing that's really important is, can you help them get a result, right? Do you like this niche? Do you like this business model? Do you like what you do and how you get results for people? Are you just about the marketing and just about getting results and just about helping clients? And can you actually help them do that thing? The next question is, you need to tick a box, yes or no. Can I help them get the results? Can I help and serve them to get an outcome? Yes or no. And you have to be confident. You have to be strong and look somebody in the eye, because you're asking them to invest money in you. So you're going to be really strong and say, I know I can get this done for you. So that's the next tick that you need. And the third tick is that you know that they value what you do and that they can pay. You know that they value what you deliver as a skill, and they actually can pay for what you have. So do you like them? Can you help them? And can they pay? That's the 3 things that you absolutely need as 3 ticks to a niche. If you don't like them, bow, that's a 0, right? If you can't help them, well, you're stuck. You're not going to be able to help. You're not going to be able to serve the market. And if they can't afford to pay you, that's a no. Any no in any of the three is a no, right? You don't like them, it's immediately no. You're not juiced about the strategy, the result, the outcome you can deliver, it's a no, right? If you can't help them, it's a no. If they can't afford it, right? If they can't pay, or they don't value marketing, value what you do, then it's a no, right? We move on to the next niche until we get 3 ticks, right? 3 ticks, okay? So you want to, the idea is we want to dive into hungry niches, right? I'll answer your questions once I've gone through the explanation of what you need to do as you're going and developing a niche, right? So you want to start, for me, the first place that I would start in picking a niche is where perhaps I've got some experience and knowledge. I would not pick a niche where I have no knowledge of that niche. If I have no experience and no knowledge, it means I've now got to acquire some knowledge. I've got to acquire some understanding. So the first thing is if you look back at your experience, or perhaps you worked in companies that worked with lots of businesses, then you can maybe pick those businesses as a prospective niche to go after. So for me, first and foremost, I always start with knowledge and experience first, right? That's the easiest way to go and help a market, right? Second, right? Are they investing in online marketing? Are they online friendly, right? Are they doing search engine optimization? Are they running Google ads? Are they running Facebook ads? Do they have CRMs, right? Are they into sales automation, right? Are they doing e-commerce? Are they investing? Are they already friendly to internet marketing, right? You don't want to work with people who don't get this and don't want to start this. Helping people to get into the game, people don't understand how much they've got to invest to make this work. So their budgets are going to be very minimal, and they're going to be very difficult to work with because they've got expectations. And one of the things that's happening right now, just to give you perspective, in pretty much every major niche on the planet, due to the fact of the environment of the pandemic that we're in right now, there's going to be a lot of new players coming in. So they're not very internet savvy or online savvy, but they want to invest and they want to buy. Now, the challenge with these people, and this, by the way, this is a very open market in every genre. The thing is you're going to have to actually spend a lot of time educating these people. You have to educate, you have to set expectations, you have to nurture that relationship, because when people are new, right, they don't know what to expect, and they also come with a lot of preconceived notions as well, because they don't know what they don't know. So if you're dealing with the lower end of the market, or you're dealing with a market that is just coming in to the genre and the space because they need the help, because they're missing pieces and components, they know that they've got to get online, you're going to have to spend a lot of time educating those people. That's a huge, huge movement that's happening, because we're seeing, for example, one of my consulting champions in November, and so last month, right? So they opened up 32 new ad accounts, 32 new companies, never advertised before on Google. They opened up 32 new accounts. So managing those 32 new accounts, they have to manage expectations. They have to educate the market. They have to explain what has to happen through the process of maximizing their ability to get results through ad campaigns, right? So knowing that the market is growing, and it's huge, by the way, know that you're going to, those people at the lower end, you're going to have to educate, right? Who's already serving the market? So the next thing I want to know, if I'm picking niches, who's already serving that niche? Who's selling to that niche? What are they selling to that niche? How much are they charging for what they're selling? So for example, if I want to do Facebook ads, and I want to do that for, let's say I want to do Facebook ads for plumbers, right? Well, I'm going to go and find the top Facebook ad guys in the plumbing industry. I'm going to do a little bit of Google search and find out plumbing experts or contractor experts in the industry who are generating ads on Facebook and getting results. I want to find out what they're doing, who they're serving, right? Because if who's already in the market, there's already established the fact that there's a validation. I don't need to validate. I'm not pioneering and coming up with something new. I have evidence that the market is already spending money. I have evidence that there is a particular service that the market is investing in. I have evidence of others that have innovated, created, supported, built systems and processes into this market. So who's already serving? I want to know who's serving. I want to know who they serve. I want to give them a call and find out how they help people. How do you help people? I notice you do plumbing, Facebook advertising for plumbers. How do you help plumbers, right? And then they're going to go through the process and ask you questions and share with you how they help plummet. So you got an idea of how they sell and how good they are. And let me tell you, one of the first things I do, especially with people who I work with or coach in Consulting Champions, is I ask them to go and call the competition and see how well they perform, right? Are they responsive? Are they professional? Do they have a sales process, right? See where your competition's at in the market. So for me, who's already serving the market is a validation of the market, right? The next thing is, who's the ideal avatar in the market? If I'm picking a market, do I want to work with people with no budgets? Or do I want to work with people who've got massive budgets? Or do I want to work with people who've got medium budgets, right, in the market? Now, the thing is, and this part of this avatar, location, demographic, psychographic. I have a lot of people that I work with that want to charge a lot more for their services. To be able to charge a lot more for their services, they have to lift the value proposition of what they're offering to the market. Because there are companies out there, I work with people who run AdWords campaigns, and they can't work with anybody that has a budget of less than 30 grand a month on ad spend. They can only help people who've got budgets of 30, 100 to $300,000 a month. They can't work with $1,000 budget. They just can't, right? So the companies that they're targeting, and by the way, there's less competition in that person's market because they're the ones that have become an expert or have expertise in managing massive ad budgets to get massive results for their clients, right? They understand that model, right? So they know that they can't work with companies under $30 million because the $30 million companies just don't have the budgets that are required to compete in the market at the level that they're working at, right? So who is the ideal client? For me, the sweet spot is 3 million to 20 million. 3 to 20 million is the sweet spot in the market because you're looking at companies that will have a marketing budget of between $200,000 up to $2 million. $200,000 to $2 million is the range of the marketing budget from the $3 million to the $20 million business. That's a sweet spot, right? And by the way, you can identify companies based on revenue very easily. There's lots of databases that are free that you can go to get the lists of companies that are 2 million or 3 million up to $20 million. In fact, there's 2 lists in the world that are published every year called the Inc. 5000 list. Companies in those lists start generally at the 2 million mark, around the $2 million mark. Their average growth rate is about 300% over a 3-year period. The majority of the companies are sitting around the 5 million plus, and they literally go up to hundreds of millions of dollars. But where the big space is, there's about 2,000 companies between that 5 million and 10 million, 20 million gap in those lists. The European list and the American list, that's over 1,000 companies, right? That means that's 4,000 companies that fit, that are identifiable in niches, in categories, demonstrating to you what they're doing in the market. So who's the ideal avatar? Who you want to work with? Get very, very clear. I hear people say to me, John, I want to work with small business owners. And I cringe when I hear that because small business owners have no money. And so they're going to be hard to collect money from. They're going to be hard to invoice, right? Because they never pay their bills on time. And you've got to manage lots of expectations. But the thing is in their heart, well, I really want to support and help the little guy, right? The little guy doesn't want to help themselves. So it's very hard to help people who don't want to help themselves because 85% of the little guys won't survive in 5 years. They won't be there anymore, right? There'll be another 85% of new businesses in 5 years' time. They just won't last. So helping the little guy isn't a great market to go after, right? You want to help people who want to actually scale and grow. So maybe as part of your selection is companies that are growing, companies that are focused on growth, right? As part. So who's your ideal avatar? Big question. Demographic, psychographic, size of company, the ability to pay, are spending money on marketing and advertising, right? They're already doing that. Or if you're in AdWords, they're already spending money on AdWords. The only people that I would go and target for if I was an AdWords specialist is people who are already spending money on AdWords. I wouldn't be targeting anybody who didn't spend money on AdWords. The reason why is because if people are spending money on AdWords, they already value that. The question is how efficient, how effective are they at getting the result with their campaign, right? That's the question. And most campaigns, about 80% of most campaigns, totally unoptimized. That's a huge market. Right? That's millions of businesses that are running unoptimized ad accounts that you, if you know what you're talking about in AdWords, can help, right? For me, if I was working in AdWords, one of the predicators, are they spending money on Google ads? If they're not, then bow out. Next, right? So next, how competitive is the niche? How competitive is that niche? How competitive from a growth point of view? Is it a big market, massive market, right? How competitive is it in relation to what I deliver to that market? How many people are doing the same thing, right? Because what I want to do is I want to find where my place is to differentiate in that market. So if it's a highly competitive market, I always look for the top 100 businesses in any niche. That's the first list that I type in. Top 100 plumbers in the US, top 100 plumbers in California, top 100 plumbers in New York City. Top 100 is the first list that I look for, the top 100. The top 100 are people who are established, they've got clients, they've got reviews, they've got referrals, they've got websites, they're spending money on advertising, promotion. They wouldn't be in the top 100 if they weren't in that category, right? If they weren't in the category of being progressive and active. But how competitive is that niche? Really important. Is the industry growing? Are they growing? Is the industry static? Or is it declining? Now, if I was in the travel industry has been decimated, but there are parts of the travel industry that are actually going through the roof. Tourist parks, RV, camper, the camping industry, going through the roof, right? In that tourism, in the travel market, that's scaling, right? That's growing right now. But in other parts, right, destination travel to location, hotels, those sorts of things, they're declining, right? The pandemic has caused massive problems. Countries like, I'm in Australia right now, we are not accepting flights from anywhere. We are not accepting international tourists into Australia. The only people we're accepting are people who are coming back to Australia who are Australian citizens. Anybody that's decided or gets here for visitation has to go into self-paid quarantine, right? Lockdown, right? So we've shut our borders. That means, and I was actually listening to an interview yesterday to a hotelier who's been in the hotel industry for 50 years saying, hey, this is the worst thing that's ever happened that he's seen in 50 years in his industry. And normally they're up this time of year, they're up at around their 100% occupancy. This whole year for them has been roughly 25% occupancy. So 3/4 of their business has gone out the window. So that industry, that doesn't mean that industry won't bounce back or won't come back, but it'll be a while before that market. So the question you want to ask is the market growing? Is it static or is it declining? Now, some people ask the question, John, how the hell do I find out if a market's growing or static or declining? Well, there's a couple of places you can actually look for market trends, right? Or industry report, right, for last year, for 2019, this one gone, or 2018, right? You can look for industry research. Just type in industry research and the industry, and someone would have created a document, a PDF, a report, a slide share presentation on the current stats of an industry. There's websites like IBIS World, IBIS world.com. You can just type in, go industry, you can select countries. It'll give you the report. It'll tell you the percentage growth rate of the industry. It'll tell you roughly what's going on, how many people are employed, how many businesses are registered. It'll give you a rough idea of the market, right? That's what you want to do. And what you're looking for from an industry point of view, what I'm looking for is a 2.9% and up, 2.9% and up. Now, the only way that I would target an industry that is less than 2% is if the industry has a much significant base, like there's a big market and there's big players in the market, right? That's the only thing. But on average, I'm looking for industries with about a 2.9% or 2.8% plus growth rate. There's industries out there that are growing at a rate of 6 to 7, 11%, massive growth, right? Massive growth. The SaaS market, huge. The CRM industry, massive growth rate, 25% in the last 3 years. That's huge, right? E-commerce service companies, massive growth rate, right? Tech going through the roof, right? So I'm looking for industry statistics, roughly about a 2.8+%. Anything with 2.8 means the industry is growing, means there's competition, means that there's a level of buoyancy, it's heading in the right direction, right? We're talking about an entire industry. We're not talking about a small microcosm of the industry, right? So are they growing? Are they static? Are they flatline? If they're flatline, the industry is on a decline, right? Or are they drifting? Are they declining, going down, going out? Remember, 1/3 of the market left business this year. We lost 30% of small businesses in the world this year, right? In the Western world, 30%. In some countries, it was even higher, yeah? So industry growing, static or declining. I go back to the do you care, right? Do you really want to help these guys? That's really important. If you don't want to help these people, then you're out, right? If you think that you're going to build a business just for the sake of making money, if you think that that's the business you want to build, then you're in the wrong place. You will not survive, you will die, because it means that you don't care. You don't care about developing your processes, you don't care about your systems. What you're looking to do is to cash in. Now, there's nothing wrong with cashing in if that's your life and that's a choice, but your longevity, you ain't gonna last, right? For those of you who are just in it for the money, go and do this exercise. Go and ask somebody in the market and say, listen, can you pay me money so I can make profit, please? Ask them that question. That's if you're in it for the money, right? See what sort of response you get. So do you actually care about what you do, how you do what you do? Are you going to deliver it at a level that is of a high standard at your understanding to get results to your clients? Do you care is a really important thing in the selection of niche. I find lots of niches fascinating. Do I want to work with them? Not necessarily, right? Because some of the niches I find fascinating, I don't like the people in the niche. I actually don't like the businesses in the niche, right? So how easy is it to engage with a niche? So that's another question, right? How easy does it connect? Can we connect with them on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Messenger? How easy? Are they in associations? Are they in groups? Are there forums online? Do they hold events? How easy is it to engage with the niche, right? How can I get to them? That's a really important question to be answering, all right? Next, you really want to understand what the pain points are for an industry and how what you do solves that problem. Now, a lot of people say, well, everybody needs leads. Everybody needs to acquire customers. Well, it's true. Everybody does need to acquire customers, but do they want to serve everybody in a marketplace, or do they want to serve a specific person? Do they want to, how are they growing, right? How are they coping with growth and scale? How many leads can they handle? Like some people, one of the mistakes that I made in one of the agencies that I was part of as a partner in, one of the first mistakes we made is we took on smaller clients. Now, because we had a system and a process that could generate 30, 50 sales every single month, these smaller clients would turn off their campaign after 2 months or 3 months, say, listen, John, I'm sorry, but we just can't handle the business. We're just getting too many inquiries. We have to stop marketing, right? That means that they aren't capable of handling the scale, right? To be able to build and scale, right? Which means we were choosing the wrong client to work with, right? The sales and marketing was working so well that it was causing pressure and problems to the business. So they had to stop. Well, if they have to stop, then they stop paying us and then we stop and we lose, right? So we very quickly realized that we can only work with people at a certain level. So we chose businesses that had a lot of customer activity, right? That they could handle over 600 customer engagements every single month. That was a rule, right? That if you could handle 600 customer engagements a month, you're good. If you can't, then we can't help you, right? So you need to understand the pain points in the industry. What is the impact of not filtering or qualifying leads? What is the impact of having a poor sales process? What is the impact of having the wrong message out there? What is the impact of not being able to get your ad campaigns working right in Facebook or AdWords or YouTube? What is the impact? What are the problems that the industry faces? You need to ask. And by the way, these problems are very, very public. They're very easy to find, but once you understand these things, then you're able to actually help, right? How does what you do help solve that problem, right? Very, very important. Next, right? I'm just going to walk through some hot or nots, right? So right now, the areas that are growing, right? I'm talking markets. And when I share these niches with you, these are very broad niches. Like I'm going to drill deep and I'll be able to answer some questions for those people on the Zoom call here in just a moment. What I'm giving you is broad markets that are actually on the rise. Like right now in the middle of what's going on, they are growing, emerging, they're doing lots of innovation, right? And they're moving and they're very visible. They're all easy to find, but these are the markets that I would be looking at right now because they tend to be recession proof. And also they tend to, it's an area where most of these markets need marketing results. They're actually spending a lot of time right now trying to find contractors, independent contractors and agencies to be able to help them with very specific tactical things in the online space. So the industries are finance, the finance industry going through the roof right now, legal going through the roof right now, massively, and will grow significantly from this pandemic. The tech, in the tech industry, anything tech right now, huge. Software, SaaS, massive market, hundreds of sub-markets within the SaaS market. Hundreds, in fact, there are thousands. There's a group called Martech, and they do this, it's a presentation, it's a slide. And on that slide, like 10 years ago, there were like 2,000 marketing-related software pieces of software out there, over 2,000. Today, software that is in support of customer relationship management, advertising, marketing systems, client acquisition, all that sort of stuff. There's more than 26,000 SaaS companies, and the growth rate is about 7,000 SaaS companies a year. So all of a sudden, the space of the last 10 years, right, we went from 2,000 to 26,000, and the growth rate is 7,000 new SaaS businesses just related to the marketing industry, not to other industries. This is just marketing, right? Over 7,000 SaaS applications just in the marketing industry. So that industry is growing at a massive rate in the market. Lots of opportunity. A lot of SaaS companies have no idea what they're doing to generate business effectively, and that's why they struggle, and that's why they want to hire people like you. So the tech, the SaaS market, the tech product market, 3D printing, industrial 3D printing has sped up the ability to deliver new product to market, right? Much, much faster, because you can actually create proof of concept much quicker and actually deliver, build to form and manufacture much faster and distribute and deliver product. So the 3D printing industry is having an impact on the physical product industry in the marketplace. Massive, massive impact, new technology. And think about this, right? We can break this down into 3,000 different sub niches of product categories. Think of how many product lines that Amazon carries online right now, right? Think about some of the types of products, the value of those products, the broad range in every different genre of market category. Well, there are companies and brands behind all of those products, right? There's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of businesses driving new product into the market, launching new product in the market. So the tech product market has massive growth. Once you do a little bit of homework in that tech product space, it's a rabbit hole. Then you want to find a very specific niche. One of the areas that I specialized in, started this more than 7 years ago. We got in the robotics market. 7 years ago, I went to CES, the Consumer Electronics Show. It's the largest trade show in the world for all the latest consumer and tech. And back then, about 7 years ago, there was about 150 robotics companies at that show. Not a lot of people at the show, but 150 companies. So 8 years later, right, to this year, early this year, I was lucky enough to go to CES. I'm not even sure it's going to be on in January. I think it's not. I think it's going to have an impact on the industry. But up to this year, we went from 8 years ago, 150, this year, 1,500 robotics companies, right? And a lot of that's due to the fact of the technology evolving and changing in the market. So that industry is huge, and the average sale is massive. In some cases, the average sale is tens of millions of dollars, right? There's a couple of companies that we generate as clients. Their average sale is $20 million, right? So they need marketing, they need clients, they need systems, processes, strategy, all those sorts of things. They need websites, they need copy, they need to do reporting, content, videography. They needed so much stuff, right? Big market, the robotics market. So the tech niches are really, really good. Lots of money, right? You can actually find funded startups. There's a website called Crunchbase. You can actually search companies that have raised $20 million worth of capital in the last 6 months. Anybody that's raised $20 million capital for their startup and tech in the last 6 months has to spend that money. A portion of that money is going to be allocated towards marketing online, right? A good 7 to 12% of that cash, right? So $20 million, right? Up to 2 million of that is going straight to marketing. So these are companies that already have cash, right? I'd rather go and work with people who've already got the cash. E-commerce going through the roof. Lots of e-commerce businesses. In fact, I some of my consulting champions work in the e-com space. They consult the e-com space. One of my consulting champions started a service only in the middle of the pandemic, actually. They're averaging 5 new clients, 5 new e-com businesses a month for their marketing services, right? So the e-com market is massively growing, lots of opportunity in e-com. Luxury goods. One of the things that has happened in the pandemic is luxury sales have gone through the roof, right? At the beginning of the pandemic, Chanel increased their prices by 25% across the globe in the middle of the pandemic. They were experiencing a 75% growth rate in sales revenue through a pandemic, right? Who would think that people would buy luxury brands in times of challenge? Well, the reason why people are buying luxury brands is because there's a lot of people with a lot of money out there. There's a lot of wealthy people, and those people understand the value of those brands, and those brands know it. And so they're doing really well, right? In the middle of the pandemic, I was talking to a car dealer. So this is back in June, right? They were 70% above the previous year's revenue in car sales in the middle of the pandemic for BMWs. I mean, that's insane, right? That's insane. It doesn't make any sense, right? You would think the market would be rationalizing, be pragmatic. No, people still want their luxury cars, right? So the luxury market, and think about how big that market is. There's a fantastic magazine. If you want to work with luxury brands that are niche, there's a magazine called The Robb Report. It's ROBB Report. Go to your local newsstand or hop online, buy one copy. In the back of that, or right throughout that magazine, right, companies are spending $1 million plus to advertise in that magazine. And in the back of that magazine, there's all these companies that are selling huge high ticket items, right, in the market. You can buy, I didn't realize this until I picked up a Robb Report, but I could go and buy chocolate for $1 million. They're selling chocolate for $1 million. I don't know about you, but that chocolate better be doing something more than filling my stomach as I'm eating it, right? But $1 million, and guess what? People buy it. There are lots of people out there who spend $1 million. I rang the company that is selling $1 million chocolate, right? And they say they cannot keep up with their orders, right? They've worked with a very select market, and they can't keep up with their customers, with their chocolate orders, their $1 million worth of chocolate. So it gives you an idea of what people spend money on, but the luxury market is massive. One of the things that the pandemic has caused is the challenge of manufacturing. So a lot of manufacturers had to shut down in the middle of the pandemic, and so distribution of goods or the distribution of components became very, very difficult. This is one of the things that has a massive economic impact in the market. So a lot of countries like Australia, like the United States, Canada, even countries in South America who were reliant upon componentry or distribution networks out of Southeast Asia and other parts of the world, including Europe, right, realize that if they can't get their components in or they can't get product in, it's going to delay their ability to grow. So the supply chain was disrupted by the pandemic. So a lot of governments right now are incentivizing companies to manufacture. And by the way, manufacturers right now, it's a massive market, right? Massive market. And by the way, manufacturers breaks down into thousands of niches. Those companies want to go direct. There's this little tiny company called Alibaba. Don't know if anybody's heard of Alibaba, by a guy called Jack Ma, built Alibaba. Alibaba represents 300,000 manufacturers in China that sell direct to you, the public, anywhere in the world. So very quickly, those companies are selling billions of dollars of stock worldwide, direct from manufacturer to the consumer. So they literally created an industry. Now, the Western world has taken a very long time to catch up with this idea. So a lot of manufacturers, that's a market that's massive. In fact, some of my champions that I coach work in the manufacturing market, and they generate clients that have got very big budgets. They've got big assets, big inventory, lots of money to spend on marketing, and they don't know how. And they're looking for people like you. The manufacturing market is massive, huge. Just go to one trade show or go to one forum online and you'll see how big the manufacturing market is. And by the way, every manufacturing industry has an association. So they're easy to find, easy to do business with. Manufacturing is massive. Factory direct, showroom direct, anybody that's got a location or destination store right now that is holding inventory and has sales staff on the floor is struggling. And what they want to do is go direct to the market. So the factory direct or the showroom direct to market is a growing niche. Most of these companies spend money advertising on TV, radio, billboards, so they know marketing is valuable. What they want is they want to go and transition into online. And most of their online stores are terrible. They're really actually poorly structured. So the factory direct or showroom direct market is a growing niche from an e-com point of view, from a Facebook ad point of view, from an AdWords point of view. It is a huge market and it has its own association. Right. So, and also they fit in multiple product categories in the market. Yeah. So understand that this is a huge market. Now, one of the fastest and the biggest growing markets, because the pandemic has created this, this issue, is education and vocational training. Education companies, training companies that are selling licensing, accreditation, certification. These companies are all on the rise. They are growing. By the way, I know this market really well. They desperately need help. They are the worst marketers and they're the worst salespeople on the planet, right? They desperately need help in marketing online. They need new websites. They need to educate their marketers as to why they're delivering online. They need to move to online platforms. These people are being forced. The education and vocational training is huge. In the United States, it accounts for tens of billions of dollars worth of revenue. It's a massive, massive market. So education and vocational, so things like licensing, accreditation, certifications, those sorts of industry groups, the training groups are big, right? Now, the other thing that's growing are training companies, right? Training companies that do things like management training, leadership training, motivational training. Those sorts of companies are on the fly. In fact, they all grow through recessionary periods. The reason why is most governments, when you have a high unemployment rate, as we're experiencing in most of the Western world, governments, as part of a stimulus package, will subsidize training or retraining and reskilling those people unemployed. So the training industry and the education industry and vocational training is huge. It's astronomical. In Australia alone, this market has over 7,000 registered organizations. That's 7,000 prospective customers that are terrible at marketing. They spend lots of money on advertising and promotion, but that's just in one country, right? That's just here in Australia, 7,000, right? Registered with the government for subsidy. That's massive. That's big dollars, huge, huge niche market. Consumer brands, big markets, new consumer brands, existing brands, they are looking for new ways, innovative ways to engage, to be visible online, to market their products effectively for conversion. They are big business. Consumer brands are massive in the market. Medical and biotech, huge. Medical and biotech is massive, right? Because the health niche right now is, a really important component of our livelihoods. The physical therapy world, the chiropractic world, the osteo world, the general musculoskeletal markets all growing. The channel partners in those industries all growing. So the supply chains are massive and they're all growing as well, right? So anything to do with medical, health, biotech, is on a very steep up curve. The other thing is mobile. Mobile is resurgent because most websites right now, even though they may be responsive to mobile, their navigation is wrong. So if you're running ads to a page where the navigation is wrong, not being able to click, fill a form, click to call, you're not getting that on the site and people have to start scrolling and moving. A lot of money is being wasted on ads to websites that don't mobilize properly, right? That's a huge problem. That's actually a big opportunity in the market is what is the mobile marketing strategy? Are they designing? So when we design in our business, we design for mobile first, desktop second, right? We always start with mobile design. We don't do it the other way around, right? Because most people are on a mobile device looking at our websites, or they're on an iPad or a tablet looking at our sites. They're not on a desktop computer or a laptop, right? So the majority of search right now, 80% of it is on that device, right? On the mobile phone, right? And growing. And Google search has gone through the roof, right? People don't actually go to Facebook looking for products. They'll go to Google, right? So Google search and the Google advertising range and the Google network is massive in the market. So those are some of the industries that are growing in the market. So questions or things in selecting niche, just to give you a bit of a recap, right? Are they digital friendly? Are they spending time investing online? That's number one. You want to check out the competition. Who's serving the market? How much are they charging? Who are the buyers? Who are they, what products or what services are they delivering to the market? The definition of the avatar, the sizing, the market spend, client value, their fears, aspiration, right? You want to look at the financial analysis of the avatar as well, right? What's the customer value? What's the profit margins? What's the marketing spend? What's the average revenue, right? In the market that you're targeting as part of that thing. Niche opportunity, how big is the niche? The competition, is it a growing industry, a declining, a static industry? That's something you want to take into consideration. Do you care, right? Do you actually care about this market? Do you really want to help these people get results with what you do? That's really important. How easy is it to engage with the market? Are there associations? Are there events? Are there trade shows? Are there channel partners? Are there publications? Are there sponsorship? Where can we actively engage? How easy are they accessible in terms of the market? Really, really important for selection. And then do we understand the pains and the frustrations? What are the bottlenecks? What are the problems? What are the issues, right? If those issues continue, what is the impact of those issues on those businesses? What are the opportunities to solve those problems, and how do you do that? And the idea that you've got to look at is you want to pick 3 markets, right? You want to describe, based on those questions that I've just shared, you want to describe 3 markets, right? 1, 2, 3. You might say, okay, plumbers, accountants, furniture manufacturers, factory furniture manufacturers. What is the service that you offer, right? Those 3 questions that you want to answer, right? Do you actually want to help these people? Can you help them get a result, and will they pay? If you answer those 3 questions, right, and you've got 3 markets, now what you want to do is you want to eliminate one of them. So you've got 3, I want to work with these 3 people, I want to eliminate one. So you move one aside, you're left with 2. And then what you want to do is you think about these 2 people, you say, right, who would I prefer to work with the most? I've got a 50-50 shot here. Who am I more interested in, right? And then you choose that one. So now you're down to 1 niche. And so now you want to drill deep into that niche and go and have conversations with that market. First thing I would do if I selected my niche is I would look for influencers. I would go to Amazon and choose the top 5 books that are written on the industry. Look at the iconic business leaders within that industry. Go and check out the association. Connect with the association president. Are there chapter associations in cities, states, territories, and countries? Is it international? Do they have events? Do they have lists? Can I find lists on their association websites? These are all the things that I would do once I've selected my niche in the marketplace. So once you've got your niche, now the next thing is you want to engage, right? You want to craft an offer, and the best way is to teach people in that niche how they can get a result with what you do in the marketplace. So what I want to do is I want to now answer questions to the group. We've got a whole bunch of people here. I really appreciate Coffee, Steve, Titus, Mark, Chris, Craig, Johnny, Howard here again. Don, welcome, seeing you again. Steve M, Russell, good to see you here. Rod, Rebecca, Chris. So you're all here. I'm happy to answer questions with regard to niche. If you've got a question, I know we've got a few comments in the Facebook group here. I'm trying to pick those comments up for those who are here. There are 3 comments, but it's not letting me click on the comments. My apologies. I don't know why it's not letting me do that, but it's not. Okay, so those of you here with me in the group, Russell, do you have to be passionate about the niche you choose? Is it enough to just want to genuinely help or serve? Yes, to answer that question, Russell, just to generally want to help and serve is okay. You don't have to be passionate about it. That's a big mistake that a lot of people get into. Like, do I really have to be passionate about it? No, you don't have to be passionate about it. I love marketing. I love getting results of marketing. I like testing. I like getting in there, trying different campaigns, moving towards improving, getting better results for the client. Right. So for me, I get juiced about the result or being able to deliver the result. And then, naturally, the business that I work with, I like the people we work with. I know them. We get to become friends, all those sorts of things. That evolves as part of that process. But I kind of got to like what I'm doing. And yes, if you want to just genuinely help to serve, to answer that question, Russell, absolutely. Just genuinely want to help to serve, right? You don't have to be passionate. RM says international trade and development, e-learning, education management, higher education. This is the industry category I'm facing. So of that, whoever RM is, pick one. Oh, that's you, Rajesh. Pick one. That's what you've just listed there is inside trade and development organization. Well, there's freaking 11,000 niches in trade and development organizations, just in that one line or one sentence. So the idea is out of those 11,000 niches, Rajesh, pick one, right? You need to go and do your homework, right? Education management. Well, that could break down into industries. That could be breaking down into educational management for the mining industry. There's freaking thousands of people just in that one market in education management just for mining. One sector, right? Health, tech, finance, pharmaceutical, engineering. Like you can literally just break it down, and there are thousands upon thousands of people just in those veins under one title of education management, right? Higher education. Well, higher education breaks down into multiple categories, right? It's not, when we do higher education, well, we've got private schools, private universities, right? Then we have universities that specialize. There are categories and subcategories in higher education. So there's literally thousands upon thousands of people just in that one higher education market, right? The idea is we can't serve everybody, yeah? Training, vocational training. In the vocational training industry, that literally breaks down into tens of thousands of industries. There's vocational training markets in tens of thousands. Every profession has a vocational training structure, every profession. Think about all the jobs and all the roles. There's training companies for every market. So those markets are massive. If I was just, there's one market, one product category. It's called training and assessment. It's team leader. It's leadership training, right? There's one type of leadership training. It's an international designation. It's called Train the Trainer. There are companies that just sell this product. There are literally thousands and thousands of training companies that just sell this one training package globally, right? One training package globally, right? So those are the things you want to take into consideration, is drill deeper, yeah? When we are part of mobile marketing, do we go after a niche? So I'm not sure what the question is. When we are part of mobile marketing, do we go after a niche? Yes, you do, Rajesh. It's easy to sell to a niche. Create a demonstration of one product category to one market and go and just deliver that one presentation. And the idea is to sell that one thing over and over and over again, right? My experience is as a realtor and a musician, I'm making funnels, etc., for myself as a musician, which I could share. Yes, you can sell that to the market. If you've already been doing that sort of stuff, John, absolutely, you can go and share that off to the market. Most musicians don't have a budget. Pick the musicians that do have a budget. There's lots of musicians that have got money. There's lots of musicians that don't have a lot of money. Pick the ones that are earning, right? Pick the ones that are branding. Pick the ones that have got following. There are tons of people in that market that do have a lot of money. In fact, I have a friend of mine, Alicia. She lives in Atlanta, Georgia. She only works with musicians, but the musicians she works with are brandable people who have a following. You've got to have a minimum of 100,000 followers as a musician to work with Alicia. Now, Alicia manages your brand, social media, and she charges her clients minimum 10 grand a month. And she works with a lot of musicians. She has a team of 200 people serving musicians around the world doing social media and branding for musicians. That's her business. That's what she does all day long, right? So that shows you that there's money in the market. If you're employing 200 people and you're serving hundreds of musicians in the market, it means that there's money, right? There's cash. But she's very, very picky. And a lot of the business she gets from referrals. A lot of the business she gets from emerging brands and bands or musicians in the market. And she works with musicians in multiple genres, right? And by the way, musicians have had a pretty tough time in this pandemic, yeah? And so, but she's growing her business. Her business isn't going backwards, her business is going up because the musicians realize that this isn't forever. So there's a lot of musicians are investing in their branding and their marketing and building their authority and their audience, right? So they can sell more of their music, yeah, in the market. So lots of gold nuggets, coffee, thank you. No questions. I'm leaning to chiropractors. Now, chiropractors break down into multiple markets too, Coffee. They're not a single market, right? There's functional medicine. There's people who specialize just in, there's like network chiropractic. There's whole different genres of chiropractic. There's neuro chiropractic. So there's lots of different genres. Stem cell guys, right? Functional medicine, regenerative medicine. The chiropractic market breaks down into multiple niches. So if you go into a niche, a particular niche within the niche, it's much easier to sell to in those markets. So yeah. So what I'm going to do is we've talked about niches, how to get them, how to acquire them. What's my take on niche saturation? So when you ask niche saturation, Titus, you mean too many people serving the niche, or there's too many people in the niche? Too many people serving the niche. Okay, so I know a lot of people who get into marketing services, do Facebook ads and AdWords. They tend to pick things like dentistry, chiropractic. They'll pick things like roofers, right? And the reason why people pick these niches is because there's somebody already in the niche. This niche is proving, remember that qualification, they spend money on marketing. So they go, okay, if they're spending money on marketing, then there's a market here, right? So then they're going to go in. As far as saturation is concerned, I say no to that. The roofing market, by the way, is just in the product category is more than a $60 billion industry just in product category. It's another $60 billion in freaking roofers, right? So it's a $120 billion industry. And let me tell you, there are new people who are doing marketing in the roofing industry every day, and they're picking up clients. There's still clients out there looking to advertise on Facebook in the roofing market to get leads. In fact, the roofing industry knows that it's really important to advertise and market online. So is the market saturated? Well, there's a lot of people trying to sell to the roofing guys, right? But I know people who just started in roofing 3 months ago, and they're already generating about 30, 40 grand a month in revenue in 3 months in a roofing industry that is highly saturated, right? The question is, how are you different in the market? How do you value? How do you understand? I mentioned this yesterday. One of the reasons why we did so well with the physical therapy niche is because we really knew what the niche was after, what the industry was after. We knew what they thought, how they thought, why they were doing what they were doing, what they needed. We understood, and that's why, because of our understanding. By the way, we were competing against a whole bunch of other agencies that sell to chiropractors and physical therapists that were 30% or sometimes 60% cheaper than us in a saturated market, right? But we've got 417 clients in a saturated market, 470, because there's 69,000 of them, and the growth rate is about 6%. So that means the industry is 69,000, 10,000. That means there's 5,000 new chiropractic practices opening up every year globally, right? So there'll be 5,000 new customers every year globally in the physical therapy osteopath space, right? So does a market become saturated? If you feel that it is, then it is. But I don't think about the competition in a market. I think about what I can do. And here's the thing, Titus, to make 10 grand a month, you need 3 clients paying you 3 grand. 10 grand is 3 customers paying 3 grand a month, or a little over 3 grand a month, right? So that's not a lot of customers, right? So that's $10,000. You want to make $20,000, 6 clients. Now, I just mentioned a particular niche, roofing, right? There are 56,000 roofing businesses, according to IBISWorld. 56,000 roofing businesses. Do you think you can get 3 out of 56,000? Right? No problem in the world. Yeah. In my revenue range, I found a list of 92,000 businesses in the SIC list alone. It's over 100K going to, yeah. So here's the thing, right? Johnny's found in his niche, there are 92,000 businesses in one niche. One niche in one area, one country, right? So understand that this is, that's a big niche. Now, I would imagine in those 92,000, you could probably sub-niche. You can go sub to the types of service they provide. And you can craft a campaign or craft a solution that is specifically for that sub-niche, yeah? So if you've got any questions, feel free to ask a question. The number one thing that I see people have problems with niche is they just don't know and they give up too early. That's the other thing, is they give up way too early because they really haven't taken the time to know the niche, right? All you need to do is have a conversation with about what you do in that market. I'll guarantee you'll pick up a client. Somebody will know somebody that will say, hey, I know somebody who needs that help, if they understand what you do in any market. You know, one of the reasons why, when you can, and I know this is coming back, this will come back probably in the middle of next year or late next year, where we can go back to live events, right? Once everybody's been inoculated, we need 70% of the population to be inoculated to actually stem a pandemic, right? So that's going to take a year and a half to do that, right? In most Western countries, that's going to take a long time to inoculate that percentage of population. So it's going to be a while before major events are going to be allowed from a trade show and all that sort of stuff. It might be maybe the third part or the latter part of next year, right? But here's the thing: when that is allowed to happen, I'm going, right? I built multi-million-dollar businesses just visiting trade shows. You know, CES alone accounted for $15 million worth of personal revenue. One trade show, $15 million out of one trade show, right? And there are literally thousands of things. And the cool thing about this, and by the way, this is a hint, any industry that's had a trade show, they haven't been able to have a trade show this year. That industry has been decimated. The problem is that most companies that have trade shows and relied on trade shows to generate clients, guess where they've got to go and get clients from? Online, right? So they've got to shift those hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars worth of budget spend on trade shows and move it to the online space to acquire customers, because they can't acquire customers in their traditional form of marketing, right? So that's a massive, massive market. Go to an association, look at the event that they held in 2019, the event they held in 2019, open up the directory, the trade show directory. It'll give you the name, the phone number, the registration, the business, the website of the people that exhibited, and that's your list in the niche. All those people haven't been able to do a trade show this year. And a majority of their business would have been driven by trade show. Well, instead of trade show, what do you got to do instead? Go direct to the market, go online. All of those businesses need online help. That's like a license. What I've just given you is a license to print money. This one idea, right? All these companies have got money. Remember one of the things I said, people who value marketing and who have a budget? Well, every company that ever did trade shows in 2019 has money this year. They had to allocate, all their trade shows were canceled. So they have to allocate their budgets. They don't want to lose their marketing budgets. So what are they going to do? They have to acquire customers. I'm talking, in fact, one of my people in Clients Unleashed, James, he specialized in the SaaS market. And this SaaS market, the market that he's in, the majority of them got their clients through trade shows. Well, he has one client that spent more than $60,000 in the last 2 months getting their online crap together because they can't rely on trade show anymore. They're allocating their trade show budget to online marketing, Facebook advertising, Google ads, landing pages, sales funnels, right? So there is a massive opportunity right there that very few people are picking at. I know very few people are picking at because most people don't listen to my stuff, right? But I know because I've seen in most of these markets and I know what's out there. I talk about niches all the time, particular niches all the time. I've shared insight, innovation, the whole thing. I've literally handed it on a silver platter, the frustrations, the challenges, the whole thing, giving it away. And I go to people and they go, great, those people have been looking for a market. How many of you have gone into that market? No one, right? Crickets. I thought, wow, okay. Obviously giving you the whole golden goose on a silver platter isn't good enough, right? That's not helpful enough, yeah? So understand that there is money or there is opportunity to serve markets that have the capability to invest in your services right now in the real world. Yeah. So any questions? That's happens all the time, Rajesh. That happens all the time. That's going to happen. That's going to be our history. That hasn't changed. Right? We can look at how many pandemics that we've had. SARS, right? Mad cow disease. We've got lots of them, right? The flu evolves every year. The flu changes every single year. So coronavirus is going to be no different. We're just going to manage it. We have to. We're learning as a country, as a world. We're learning to manage this issue. Yeah. And by the way, the coronavirus hasn't done anywhere near the devastation that the Spanish flu did in the early part of the century. The early part of the century, the Spanish flu killed tens and tens of millions of people. It literally almost wiped out half the population of some countries, right? That was back in 1915. Yeah. Sorry, in between the war, right? The Spanish flu was devastating, right? Well, the coronavirus is not the Spanish flu, right? It hasn't hit those numbers yet, but it's volatile, it's deadly, it's real. But at the end of the day, I don't believe the world is going to stop doing what they need to do to move forward. So my thing is, when I look at what's going on in the world, I only am interested in what I can control, right? I only want to work on the things that I can control, the things that I focus on, because let me tell you, there is in this time of challenge and frustration and struggle, and there is real pain and real hurt in the world right now. There are people who are suffering. There are countries that are completely devastated right now economically. That is the real world, right? But on the other side of that, there are a lot of people out there who are innovating, pivoting, sharing new ideas, new ways of doing things to make a better world, right? A new world with new opportunity. Those people are growing and emerging, right? I want to focus on hanging out with those people. Yeah, people who are growing and emerging. I'm not like everybody here, right? You're all focused on one thing. You want to grow, you want to build, you want to create your opportunity. This is the place you want to be in, right? But if I sat there and worried about all the bullshit that's going to happen or won't happen or will happen, or the most devastating things, I wouldn't be talking to you today, right? I'd be hiding under a bed sheet. Yeah. So what we focus on most becomes our reality. Do we need to look after our health? Absolutely. Do we need to be mindful of other people's health? Absolutely. Do we more vigilant these days? Absolutely. Yes, we need to be more vigilant these days, right? Absolutely. That's evolution, right? But it doesn't rule how you think and how you behave. Yeah. So question, I have my manufacturer. So Johnny's got a manufacturer and they supply 300 companies. Now my target niche, but contractor, make them happy and bring, I don't understand, mate. If you can unmute Johnny so I can hear the English part of that, but I really don't understand how I'm reading this. So just if you can explain to me in English, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Sure, they're a manufacturing company and they supply the construction companies, and they supply them also through, what do you call it, building supply as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, because you can be the exclusive and then use their product or not, you know what I mean? So I'm just thinking of a strategy to bring in everybody.
So channel partners are great. My question is, how can you add value to the manufacturer, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can you do to help them to communicate their message more effectively to their audience? Are there gaps in their market? Are there gaps in their distribution? Are there gaps in communication and support? How can you help them? And ultimately, the idea is, well, the more we get your clients to buy off you, the more throughput, the more inventory you push through your manufacturing process. So your brand, if you've only got 300 buyers, well, how big is the market for the product, right? Where is the attention paid on new opportunities? Are there areas to pivot from? And then from a channel point of view, I always try to turn a channel partner into a client. One of the successful ways to get lots of clients is just turn one channel partner into a client, and they'll introduce you to the entire audience, right? They literally will. Like, for example, I worked in the banking industry. My entree into the banking industry was through a client in mortgage finance. So they were a big mortgage aggregator. It was a client that I knew. And he introduced me to a guy called Stephen Bowen. Well, Stephen Bowman. But Stephen Bowman at the time was the president of the International Bankers Association, right? So this is the guy at the top of the table for the entire banking industry, right? So I got to meet him, right? I got to chat, and I said, look, you guys suck at marketing, right? Or there's areas that I see that there are gaps. And I said, look, I'd love to sit down with your leadership team, talk about some of those things that you perhaps need to pay attention to from an industry perspective that'll probably get better engagement or better usage or better propagation from your licensing structures in the marketplace, right? And he goes, that sounds like a great idea, right? So I helped them out. They paid me for it. It wasn't free. I helped them out. then he proceeded to introduce me to the CEOs and directors of divisional heads of banks around the world. And we got to work with the major banks around the world doing marketing and doing direct response and email marketing for banking groups all over the world, right? One relationship. And because we helped the International Banking Association with their marketing, they introduced us to all their members, right? Yep. So you can do the same. How can you help them to do better with their clients? And then, by the way, hey, what about if we created an opportunity to nurture, to do something a bit cool, to show them their opportunity so they can generate more revenue, more sales, take on more orders for product categories that you provide in the market? Is that something that might be useful to you? One of the questions that I would do, so here's the other thing, Johnny, what I would do in a market is I would go and get a list. I would literally go and acquire a list of not just their customers, but prospective customers in a market. I would acquire a list. Say, listen, I'd love to do a cross-promotional campaign with you. I have 15,000 people here that we can go out to the market with in your market with a campaign or with a product category, right? Some of those people on that list might be existing customers. What if we worked together, ran a campaign together, profit shared, right? I see so many people right now that are doing profit share deals purely because they've already scraped lists. So they're running, I've got Will, one of the guys that I work with, that's what he does. He charges people $8,000 to run one email campaign and he takes 11% of the sales.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. Every deal is a profit share deal because he's a really good, he knows how, he's got cold email dialed in, right? So he knows how to do really good quality cold email campaigns to get great response, great engagement, great sales, right? So he does that. And then and if they don't have a list, he'll go and acquire a list for them and charge them for it. But he'll take 11% of all the sales on the deal. So yeah, so can you do the same? That's possible. Yeah. So for me, I always like to turn a channel partner into a client first.
Yep.
And then it can open up the doors to the entire group. And I'll guarantee you that if you get to know the CEO of the manufacturing company, that he'll introduce you to CEOs of all of great clients if you help them out. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
Does that help?
That's perfect. That's exactly what I needed.
Awesome. All right. So it seems making a Go High level package of funnels and campaigns for musicians could be very valuable. Yes, it could be, John, absolutely. If you've got a really strong Facebook or Instagram thing going where you can drive traffic and manage that traffic in real time, absolutely. Build a simple CRM for musicians to manage their customers for merchandising and sales. Yes, that's a possibility. Chris says, this call is being recorded, right? It's actually live on Facebook right now at Consulting Unleashed, Chris. It's actually live right now as we speak. I've had about 4 comments, and unfortunately, I can't read the comments on my Facebook page. I don't understand why that's happening at the moment. So my apologies to the people who are doing comments on my feed, but I'm not able to answer those questions at the moment. On YouTube and Facebook. Yes, I'm on YouTube and Facebook. Yeah. So any other questions? I'm happy to answer questions here in the group. Those people who join the Zoom call, joining me here. If you've got a question, let me help you out with the niche. If you've got niche questions. If you want to penetrate a niche, let me help you out, right? I can tell you pretty much about what most niches need. So if you want to figure out what a niche needs, I can help you craft your structure and approach. John, really simple. Go and join the ClickFunnels group, or if you're in the Go High level group, and then put a post in and say, hey, who's your #1 go-to person for Facebook ads? And there'll be 20 people that they'll say that'll go to Facebook people, Facebook and Instagram experts, and you can have a chat to them, and that's the fastest way to find experts. Just go into a group that supports that industry, and you'll find experts really quick. Some of the best Facebook people I know, Jason Hornong, Keith Krantz, somebody that I would highly recommend. Jason's team, absolutely. There's numbers of them. There's heaps of them. If you've got the money, they've got the time. John? Any other questions? Happy to answer some questions. Otherwise, I'm going to say thank you for being here. I'm going to move on and enjoy the rest of my day.
I've got a question, sort of following up on John, Big Lion's question, being a musician myself, I've always come from the perspective most musicians are broke. So I really had not considered that as a niche. However, if you were to talk more about, I don't see where musicians need a CRM per se, because that's more of a client-based thing as opposed to musicians are trying to build membership, build a fan base, but it's not really a pipeline of following up with them. So you want to talk a little bit more about what your friend Allison is doing? Is basically a branding.
Social media management. Alicia is only managing.
Yeah,
she manages Instagram accounts and Facebook accounts for musicians. Yeah. She works with Jay-Z, Beyonce. She works with a lot of big names, and she works with a lot of other musicians in the market that aren't big names. They're big, yeah. She's got some big clients. Works with the Foo Fighters. Works with Nicki Minaj, Cardi B. P. Diddy is a client of hers. She's got all the rappers. She's got all the rock stars. She's managing over 200 accounts in the market. But she's really good. She's not cheap. She charges a lot of money. Yeah, she charges a lot of money for it. So all she needed was one brand name client. That's the thing. Here's a strategy, right? Get one brand name client in any niche, and you'll be able to generate any client you want in that niche. All right. So she just needed one Beyonce, right? That's all she needed. She needed a Taylor Swift, right? That's all she needed. I think the person that she got was Chance the Rapper. Was her intro. She got Chance. Yeah. So Chance the Rapper got her into the genre of the rap market. Yeah. And then came Jay-Z, and then came P. Diddy, and then came all the others. Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine you need a good graphics team, because that's not like your local plumber or your local
Well, but they've got the money to pay for it, Howard.
Yeah. Well, you've got to, yeah, I get it. Yeah. That's going to be the crux.
So yeah, but there's great. You can find great designers and great content creators and great. A lot of the stuff that Alicia does is all video shit. It's all video, like taking components and the work that they're doing. If you go and follow Jay-Z and you look at some of those Instagram pages, a lot of the posts, a lot of the videos, a lot of the support, all of that is them, right? Creating that content, yeah, and curating it. They'll break down content, curate it. They're always on there all the time, yeah, because those names are big money, big brands, right? So not for everybody, but she found her way in. She only had to start with one client, and now she's dealing with over 200 clients. Now she's moving into other media as well, TV, radio. She's moving into other areas to help other people in other genres as well, because they've got the capability, they've got the scale. I've only got 200 people working for them. They're hiring people left, right, and center. They're always hiring people. So yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So music industry is massive. There are people. I know it's a tough industry. It is a tough. And right now, by the way, the music industry has been hit extremely hard. It's tough. Not that the music industry is going to go away. It'll come back. I mean, the bullshit that they're pulling in Brexit with those people for touring concerts on the European continent, the way they're messing with the current agreement on how people can tour, that's devastating to the music industry. No one's going to want to tour in Europe, or if you are going to tour in Europe, you need a lot of money to do it, and then it becomes an economy of scale thing of whether or not it's worth. So a lot of these international acts, they're going to build their brands in their local markets and keep their international markets online, because it's not going to be worth touring in Europe.
Yeah, you can't really invite them to live events. No. So, you might be doing Facebook Lives. I guess if you build groups, Facebook groups of fans, and then you could do lives.
Exactly. Yep. Build the audience. That's the big thing in the music industry. I'm happy to answer any questions here. Explain, Titus. It's all explained over at clientsunleashed.com. If you want to know more, the page literally explains what I'm doing. The video on that page explains everything. I really didn't want to talk too much about it here. Those who are interested, just go to clientsunleashed.com. I'll put it in the chat. Just you can go there in the chat, and you can find that. All the information's on that page. The doors are open for that. I'll talk a little bit about that in the next few days. But really what we're focusing on in Clients Unleashed is, number one, getting that really super clear, confident message that you can deliver to the market. Number two, to have a system, a process where you can generate 2 to 3 appointments, or between 1 and 3 appointments per day, 50 connection opportunities every day, not using LinkedIn, targeted to your niche, messaging strategy that goes with that strategy. That's going to be automated. So you're going to be engaging real customers in the ability to generate appointments through that process. I'm releasing that actually in the week to come, because I've been testing the methodology and it works brilliantly to get appointments. And then the third piece in the puzzle is the sales process. I want to make sure that we make it very easy for you to sell, so you're actually helping people, and more importantly, allowing the client to step in to buy rather than you having to maneuver the client in any way. So it's a really simple process that I'm teaching. The idea is to qualify and then to help the client become a client. So if you want to do that with me, go to clientsunleashed.com. And you can check out everything there. Everything you need to know is in there. And there's some pretty amazing resources that I'm providing as part of it as well. We have an active Facebook group. I've already got the series of units up and running because it's happening in real time. So there's already things that you can do straight away to go and get clients and get things happening. And we're going to be building this thing out. So thanks for asking the question, Titus. But if you want to know more, just go to clientsunleashed.com. What's the best way? So James, what's the best way after selecting a niche to reach out, educate them, book appointments within a realistic time frame? Well, cold email is one. Social media is very powerful. Facebook is a great way to reach out to people. LinkedIn, social selling takes time to establish relationships. Yes, it does, James, but if you want it, the fastest way is pick up the phone, dude. Like, you want to connect with people in any market, pick up the phone, ask for who you want to talk to, and say, listen, if you've got 60 seconds, you can let me know whether or not we should continue the conversation. Fair enough. If you get really good at that, James, you'll get a client in days. I know people who've done that and got a client. We had a guy, so I did this thing, it was about a month ago. We had a guy, Ahmed, who does Facebook advertising for the chiropractic market, right? And he was struggling to convert, right? He was struggling to convert the sale. So and also struggling with the whole appointment thing. So I said, look, at the end of the day, you know how to help these people get a result. So yep, I know how to help them get a result. Great. So give us your list. Let's go and look at your list. And there was like 20 people that he had sitting there that had been nurturing or trying to nurture into communication. I said, great, you got a phone number. While we're on the call here, pick up the phone and call this guy and just use this one sentence, right? Hey, Dr. Bob, listen, the reason I'm touching base with you is I've tried to reach you, but I haven't been able to get through, but I'm here now. But if you can give me 60 seconds, you can let me know whether or not we could continue the conversation. Is that fair enough? Right? And he did it live with me on the call, and the doc said yes. Now, Ahmed bumbled through that conversation, right? Because he wasn't prepared for the person to agree to talk to him, right? So he bumbled through it, and he said, look, and the person said, look, can you send me some information and get back to me, right? So he said, yep, I'll send some information. So great. So now what do we learn, right? He said, well, I got to learn that I know what to say to people when I talk to them about what we do, right? Right. So yeah, so tell me how you do that. He said, well, this is what we do. And he explained to me, this is what we do. So great. So now let's do it again, right? And we made a few dials. It was like 5 dials later, boom, on the phone, there's a doc, right? Hey, doc, if you can give me 60 seconds, you can let me know whether or not we should continue the conversation. Is that fair enough? The guy goes, yes. Look, the reason I'm reaching out to you is probably had bucket loads of people reach out to you for Facebook ads and Facebook leads. I'm not really interested in talking to you about that. What I do want to talk about is actually getting people who are interested in investing in plan of care in your immediate area. Is that something that will be useful to you, Doc? And the guy goes, yep, that would be very useful. Look, I don't know how much time you got right now, but can I actually book a time with you where I'll actually walk you through what we do to get you a plan of care, roughly $1,500 to $4,000 for your practice. Is that something okay with you? Yep. Now I'm going to send some information to you before that meeting. Are you cool? Yep, great. A week later, he sold that chiropractor, right? The whole thing was, you're asking me the question, what's the fastest, best way of selecting a niche? I've shown you the best way to select a niche in this training. If you watch the video, I've shown you how to select the best niche, right? The question you really want to ask is, what do you do and who do you help, right? That's number one. Cold email is a way to reach out, but cold email, you're still going to do the same thing. You got to nurture the relationship, right? If you sent me an email, James, and I don't know who you are personally, like we've never had, we've never had dinner together, we've never hung out together, I don't know, right? So I don't know who you are. You're going to send me an email. I'm going to go, well, I get 300 emails a day, James. Why is your email more important than the other 299 emails that I get? What is going to grab my attention? If you understand who I am and what I need help with, then you might grab my attention, right? And then depending on what you say in that email, I may or may not respond. And majority of times, James, I'm not going to respond unless your email is very succinct, very clear, and very relevant to me. Right now, I would probably want to see 3, 4, maybe 15, maybe 18 emails from you. Once I say, well, this James guy, he's talking about some cool stuff, I perhaps need to get connected. Well, if you're sending me 18 emails, that's going to take you 3 weeks, right, to get into my head. So that's a long time. So if you want to say, what's the fastest way to get a client, pick up the phone and say hi, and I help people just like you. If you give me 60 seconds, I'm able to answer, I'm able to share with you, right? And you can decide whether or not you want to continue the conversation. Is that fair enough? That's the easiest script on the planet, right? So, so you want to get into people, you've got to give people value, you've got to give people relevance, you've got to understand what the issues are. That's going to dramatically improve your ability to generate conversions, James. So if you've got another question, I'm happy to answer the question. If that's helpful to you, just say yes, if that's been helpful. If it hasn't been helpful, then I can elaborate further.
No, right? That was perfect. That was perfect.
You want to get clients, pick up the phone, dude. It's the fastest way to get them, right? By the way, last year, in fact, in November, I was in New York City. I went and visited Gary Vee over at VaynerMedia at the Hudson Yards on the 24th floor of the new Hudson Yards building. Below the 24th floor, on the 22nd floor, there was a call center with 200 people in it, calling up for VaynerMedia, saying, "Hey, we're VaynerMedia. We help you with your social media branding strategy in the marketplace. We're reaching out to businesses like you in your local area. We just thought, 1, we'd do the introduction, 2, send some information, and maybe one of our people can help you with the branding and messages we help with hundreds of countries around the world." This is a $150 million ad agency that started 9 years ago from scratch, right? And they call people direct, James. They're on the phone, right? The fastest growing companies in the marketing, in the advertising world, are the ones that bang the phones, right? And here's the cool thing, James, you don't have to bang the phone. You can hire somebody who's really good at banging the phones and get that person to set appointments for you.
Right.
Give them a script and get them to, because they're professionals, right? They know what they do. You can go on Indeed. There's a lot of people who are looking for work right now, from what I understand. And you can find people with 5, 10 years experience who'll pay who you'll pay $50 for an appointment, right? A qualified appointment. Now, if 10 appointments is $500, James, would you spend $500 on 10 qualified appointments?
Absolutely.
And if out of 10 qualified appointments, James, how many people do you think you'll sell out of 10 if you took them through your sales process?
3 to 4 for sure.
3 to 4. And what is the average client worth to you, James?
3,000.
3,000 a month or 3,000 total?
No, 3,000 a month.
And how long does the average client stay with you, James? What's the longest the client stays with?
12 months.
How many?
12 months.
So 36. So here's the thing. Can you go and spend $500 to pick up 3 to 4? So that's $120,000 worth of work, dude.
Yeah.
You want to spend $500 to get somebody to give you $130,000 worth of work?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. You just asked me, is that fast or not fast?
No, it's fast. It's fast.
Yeah. That's super fast, right? So there are people who've got skills that you can sit down with, hire, pay $50 per appointment, qualified. And if you land a deal, would you be willing to share, maybe give a bonus if you land a deal from one of the appointments? Would you do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I'm not saying give them thousands, but if you close a deal, would you give them another $300?
Yeah, I'll incentivize them. Absolutely.
$300. So yeah. So they make $350 out of every sale you make. So you make 4 sales, your 4 sales are going to cost you that $36,000. What's that? 4 sales of $1,200 bucks, plus $500 for appointments. That's $1,800 bucks to make 120 grand. That's still a good deal. Yeah.
Yeah. I just didn't think about that approach.
Yeah. So you don't have to pay a salary. You could hire 5 of them and they'll just fill your calendar out. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
That's what I would do. I would go and find 5 call bookers and say, hey, and most call bookers will probably work 3 to 4 hours a day. So, or 2 to 3 hours a day. If they're making $50 an hour, that's one appointment per day, 1 appointment per hour, 1 appointment per hour. So if they make 2 appointments for you per day, that's 10 a week, 40 a month, right?
Right.
Out of 40 a month, according to you, you're going to close 12 of them.
Right.
Right. So what's the last time? 12, 13. That's $360,000, dude, at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Based on your numbers. Right. So yeah, is there work involved in that process, James? Absolutely. You can avoid the whole call booker thing. Join Clients Unleashed. I'll give you a strategy that'll book your appointment calendar up with bucket loads, 2-3 appointments a day without paying any commissions.
Okay.
So Johnny Odell sitting there with his hands up, he's going, I'm in. You know, I know you're in, Johnny. I know he's waiting for this bit, this new bit. But yeah, so yeah, you don't need call bookers. There's a system and a strategy that I use to engage with 50 prospective people in the niches that I've selected. These are decision makers. Not fluff, right? And then out of that 50, I'd probably be engaging in conversation with about 15 to 20. Out of the 15 to 20, probably book about, on average, about 3 to 4 appointments a day. On automation.
God, show me that.
Well, those people who are in Clients Unleashed, they're going to see it in real. They're going to experience it.
Is this the new one that's coming out?
It's another way to do it. Sorry?
Is this the new one that's coming out, or you're talking about what's already in the system?
It's open. ClientsUnleashed.com is open now.
Okay.
It's new. It's just all we focus on in Clients Unleashed is get a super clear offer, message, delivery, confidence in delivery. So you got the confidence piece right. Second piece, we've got to plug in lead generation. There's no point in doing business if you're not generating leads. So I've developed a process and a cadence for automated lead generation. So automation on autopilot, right? From there, you need to sell, right? So I teach you my methodology on how to close deals. Like we had a guy fresh from the get-go, had his first appointments, couldn't close a deal. Spent 15 minutes with me. I told him exactly what to do, and then he closed a $30,000 client the next sale. That's the system that I'm going to be giving or using in Clients Unleashed that you get to see if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I'll look into it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's for everybody who's been listening, that's the fastest way to go get clients, pick up the phone, right? And it's the one thing that most people are afraid to do. But if you're confident and you know the market, you can talk to anybody. That's the key, right? Now, if you're not confident, you do what I just said. Hire somebody, commission only, $50 a qualified appointment if they only show up. So you don't pay if they don't show. So that person has to make sure they show up, your appointment setter, right? So you only pay for a showed appointment. The appointment stays up. They know what they're there for. You deliver what you deliver. Your worst case scenario, you're going to close 1 in 4, 1 in 5, right? It's going to cost you less than $1,000 to close a deal, right? Cost of acquisition. In one of the agencies that I'm part of, we spend $4,758 to acquire one customer that spends $60,000 a year with us. You know, thumbs up if you'd pay $4.5 grand for a $60,000 client all day long, right? Now we know that, we go and write lots of checks for $4,758 because we know on the back end of that is $60,000 worth of revenue, right? So yeah, so that's the thing. Cost of acquisition is a strategy. It's a whole different strategy. So yes, any questions? Any questions? I'm happy to answer your questions here. I'm trying to support as many people as possible into generating clients now and into the new year. So like I said, because tomorrow we're going to be here, same time, same bat channel. And my next strategy tomorrow is going to be, I'm just going to remember my topics that I'm talking about tomorrow. So we've done the offers, we've done the leads, we've done niches. Then what are we doing? What are we doing? So they've got the pesky niches, and now we're going to, what are we doing? Oh, we're going to actually curate a list. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about the curation of a really good quality list, leads list, small. And then the idea is what you got to do to go after and engage. So I'm going to walk out and map out an entire strategy tomorrow. So that's going to be really cool for tomorrow's training. So Chris says, I won't be sleeping tonight. My apologies, Chris. Amy, good to have you here. Chris, good to have you here. Howard, as always. Johnny's always here. Regular Mark, Chris, John, Rod, Jared, Eric, John Marenko, mate, good to see you. Russell, good to have you here. Who else is here? Max, good to see you. Max, Grant, good to see you here. Nice to have you here with us on the call. I'm happy to take one more question, then I'm going to bug out and enjoy the rest of my day. In fact, I think I'm going to go paddleboarding today. The weather looks really good. So I get out of the water with the paddleboard, do a little bit of surfing. No questions, we're all good. Okay, look, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you hanging out with me. This went a little bit longer than I thought I was going to go, but I appreciate the questions. For those of you interested, just go and check out the page. Go to clientsunleashed.com. I'll put it in the chat here just very quickly. If you haven't got it, you can just copy and paste it. You can go and check that out, because that's where I'm going to be literally walking through the whole process of just the concept of generating clients consistently, so that you'll never ever starve. You'll always have leads. You'll always have clients. You'll be very clear on your offer. You'll have a sales process that will be able to be convert, where a customer walks themselves into an opportunity working with you. This will get you very solid in the market. The reason why I developed this is everybody kept on coming to me saying, John, I want clients. And so the only thing I want to talk about in Clients Unleashed is you generating clients. That's all we do. We meet twice a week. I literally map out strategy. You've got a whole bunch of resources and training. There is a unit section in the Facebook group. If you want to join the Facebook group, you actually have to be a paying member of the group. It's not free, but you'll find all that information on clientsunleashed.com. Yes, generally 6 to 8 weeks, and then if people want to continue, there's a continuity for that. My goal is to add $100,000 worth of revenue to your business in a 6-week period. You should be able to do that. Three to four clients in 6 weeks, you should be able to do that. If you're not doing that, you're not working. You're not communicating with the leads that you're generating. You're not engaging. You should be able to get between 3 and 4 clients within a 6 to 8 week period. That's $100,000 of annualized revenue. If your average sale is $3,000, 3 to 5 grand, you need less. 5 grand, you need less clients, right? But if you want to do that, then that's the place to be. So you can, if you want to join Clients Unleashed, go to Clients Unleashed. I'll talk a little bit further about that tomorrow to give a little bit more information, a bit more context. But for now, I just want to make sure that I'm trying to help as many people as possible to get some clarity, some understanding, some focus, and more importantly, to go out there and do the thing that you say you want to do, and that's generate clients. So thanks, Titus. Appreciate it. Awesome. All the instructions and the access to the portal will be there, Titus. Oh, huge difference, Chris. Huge. Because the difference essentially is we're really tracking for the physical acquisition of customers. So we're focusing on those 3 factors, right? Getting our offers, our messaging clear, being confident to be able to deliver that offer and the result. Number 2, a consistent model to generate leads consistently. Now, I got about 23 ways to generate leads, but what I'm doing in Clients Unleashed is I've actually got a structure. There is a minor cost for the software, but I've arranged for people to get 2 weeks for free which means you should be able to generate 700 lead opportunities in 2 weeks for free as part of that process. But I explain all of that inside of Clients Unleashed. I'm going to be releasing the client generation process and the system next week. So we're in January. Because I want, by the end of February, I want everybody to have at least 3 to 4 clients sold. What if I haven't locked in a Amy? Yeah, I can. Depends on what you want to do. If you want to do lead generation, I can introduce you to lead generation providers. If you want to do management, social media management, content creation, just depends on what you want to do, Amy. What service you want to provide. There are plenty of third-party qualified and competent service providers. I've got end-to-end people that'll literally do the campaign, the management, the offer, and everything at a ridiculous rate all the way through to appointment for the contracting and the mortgage niches, the contracting market and mortgage niches, end-to-end, all the way through, from landing page to offer to appointment setting, all the way through. So you can literally deliver a full service to a client.
What's that resource?
That resource will be in Clients Unleashed.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But they full end to end. And I've got a few people like that, but these guys, that's what they do. They specialize in doing that. It just depends on what you want to do, Amy. You know, if you want to sell websites, then yes. You want to sell social media management, then yes. You want to sell AdWords and Facebook ads, yes, right? Johnny, a good writer. There are many good writers out there. I've actually got, for those of you, I've actually got appointment setters and chat, sell by chat and email marketers that you can get access to, and copywriters you can access to. I'll be actually placing those resources inside of Clients Unleashed. So yes, I've got a full vetted providers who are professionals, and they're ridiculously cheap. They're ridiculously cheap. Don't tell them that. They don't know their value. They're good at what they do, but they don't charge enough. That's why they're providing their service as white label. So yeah. So with that, I want to thank you for being here. If you haven't already, you can go and check it out over at Clients Unleashed. Otherwise, I will see you same time, same bad channel tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the curation of a small list, and then what I would do step by step to go and engage that list with an offer. All right. So with that, Amy, if you want to send me a personal email with questions, I will send you a video response, Amy. That's Amy Dehug. I can see you. I'm waving to you, Amy, on the screen. I can see you. Yeah. So yeah, if you send me a personal email to, I'll just put my email here, john@consultingunleashed.com. You can send me a personal email. Oh, hang on. I'm just going to put this in. Sorry. Everyone. Okay. So yeah, that's my personal email. Amy, if you want to send me an email, it's in the chat. I'll ask me your questions in the email. I will actually respond to you and answer all your questions personally, if you want to do that. With that, I want to thank you all for being here. Hope you got a lot out of today. Certainly hope you got a few ideas and a new understanding about how important niches are. But let me tell you, if I look at the most successful people that I work with, they tend to focus their services in a specific niche. They're the ones that tend to grow the fastest. And the reason why is because you understand what the results are. You understand the deliverables, you understand the market, the problems. It's easy to productize, it's easy to hire and scale because you're talking about a very specific service to a particular market. Much easier to do business that way. The quicker you learn to do that, the faster you grow. If you go general market, there's nothing wrong with that. You can still grow general agency relatively quickly, but you've got to take a little bit of a different approach when it comes to customization of services. So with that, I want to thank you for hanging out with me here. I look forward to seeing you same time, same bad channel tomorrow. Take care, everybody.